5 minutes or 15 minutes. There are some interesting ways to play with time like that. I'm not a really good at temporal mechanics. I don't think I'm good at explaining it, but and certainly know how to move things around without crashing the whole temporal matrix of the universe.
Okay.
Which is more stable than if you could end all time. Or, no, you can't really just end all time with a temporal accident. You can cause localized temporal phenomenon, rips and tears and things like that. But the temporal fabric of the universe is really strong and really stable.
Okay. But in essence, you were based then on Mars, and you were
Correct.
there. Explain to people that are going to be relatively new to the subject what your job was on Mars.
Right. Well, essentially, I was assigned to the Mars Defense Force, like I said, at that point, from the Earth Defense Force, which was a private military company, the MCC, to defend the Mars colonies. So we essentially were one of many stations who create a buffer zone around the territory which the colonies are located, so as to try and keep any of the local, both hostile animal life and possibly hostile sentient life, out of, thing happening all over. But the more information I get from other people, the more I realize, oh no, I was just at this very specific area with some very specific things that were going on. Not still interesting crossovers and interesting validations when talking to other people. And eventually there will be a lot more people talking about this. I know a bunch of them, and they're not ready to these people on a regular basis who, are all talking about their Mars experiences and their Mars service, and we're all collecting data on that and correlating the data and cross-referencing things and people. And so it's not just me. I mean, I'm maybe the one talking right now, but there's a whole bunch of people right behind me who were all chatting about it and talking about it and trying to come to a better understanding of what we know about what happened and not just our, but how that creates a bigger picture for us to understand and enable us to present present that bigger picture to people too. So a lot of them feel really to say, oh, I know something you should know, and be able to help tell people. And so I'm really appreciative that they feel like when they hear that I'm talking about it, that they can at least say something to me, and I can relay that if I can check on it and correlate that information and pass it on, so that I can have a bigger picture. Days is sort of, maybe kind of northern Canada. So we used to get some pretty cold weather up there, and it would occasionally snow, which is a pretty surreal experience. Martian snow falls slower because the way it falls all nice and fluffy and slow. On Mars, it's really amazing because it's coming down in slow motion, and it's this very real experience. If nothing else is going on to distract you from it anyway. The first time that I was there and it snowed, it was this very, very strange.
You're talking about the Mars that we see in this dimension, or are you talking about a fourth dimensional Mars?
Oh, no, I'm absolutely talking about the physical planet of Mars that we know and understand to be right now, in which our rover and probe is on right now. No, we're absolutely talking about the same place. So some important things to note about it. It's not exactly the way NASA tells us. NASA tells us that it does an atmosphere. That's not true. It does. Now, it's not super breathable in the sense that this is more like thin mountain air for us. So it's really not recommended outside the equatorial regions to try and survive without an environment suit. The equatorial regions can be a bit warmer and a bit more mild and temperate. So it's not the worst thing in the world, apparently, to just be sort of exposed in street clothing, so to speak. But you get any of the directions farther north or south, and you're going to get way more extreme temperatures and winds and so forth, and you're going to need some oxygen assistance and some breathing assistance if you're going to do any physical moving or fighting, that's for sure. So we never